ancestrally, like the fall and the winter, like gathering around the hearth, gathering around the fire, and how that is like part of our like something we're so disconnected from because now we gather around our iPhones separately in the same room. But
it's so sad.
No, it's so sad because for centuries we literally sat around the fire together, sang songs, told stories, connected, prayed, all of it. And so to like come back to that kind of intentional thing, and you know, you can do that by yourself, you can do that with family, you can do that like when I envision having a family, like I envision participating in ritual together.
Welcome back to another episode of Sessions for the Soul.
Yes, welcome back.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about like seasonal change in this episode. But before we get started, we have a really exciting seasonal offer for the fall coming up, a little 3-month program, kind of like loose structure of like doing as much or as little as you want so that it just doesn't feel like super overwhelming. But it feels like so nourishing and community oriented and like offering some accountability for the fall season, which I think we all crave in some ways. So we just we wanted to create a little offering for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's supported. I feel like it's super supportive for like the transition into fall and like kind of cultivating or like staying consistent in routines, because as we know, like depending on, you know, if you have trouble adjusting to seasonal change, or like if you live in the PNW, it's about to get like a little bit harder to like have that energy and all of that because of where we live and just being in wetter, grayer environments. And so this program is like super supportive to that change. And, you know, just to like give some spoilers, some sneak peeks of like what it will include. You know, we have different kind of sections, you know, from journaling prompts to routines and things to like help you stay in flow and kind of keep you on track so that you're not kind of going into the tendency to just kind of like go completely like inward or off of like what feels good to us, but to do it in a way that's like supportive of the seasonal change and supportive to like literally where we are like in the season and in the season of life. And like Kayla mentioned, like as little or as much as you want, like you don't have to do it how it's laid out. You can take what feels really good to you. You know, there's like stuff that it's like weekly or monthly challenges to where it's really like designed to facilitate you through the season of like fall into winter and kind of help provide some guidance around how this is a season of shedding, of transitioning, of kind of gathering all the parts of ourselves back from the summer, because summer is like really outwardly expressed, and we'll dive into like more of that in this episode, I'm sure. But it's about gathering that energy back and coming home to you and sustaining and nourishing through that so that the winter feels less like depressing maybe and more supportive and good. And so and I think we talked about too like doing monthly check-ins for people who want to attend those, but you don't have to. Like that's the beauty of this offer is it's low commitment or it's high commitment. It's whatever you're feeling up for.
Like what your capacity is this season. We'll also have like some pre-recorded videos in there, like some somatic flows that are related to like the fall season, some different pre-recorded like rituals and rhythms to engage in that are really supportive for the fall season. So I'm really excited about it. It's going to start September 22nd. I don't know if we already said that.
I don't think we said that. I'm glad you said that.
So September 22nd will be the start date. All of the information will be linked in our bio. Maybe we'll put it in the show notes below as well, on our personal pages. And then we could probably link it in the podcast page as well. So yeah, I'm very excited about it. Very, very excited to like co-host it, but also participate in it, because I am definitely the person who struggles in the like fall and winter. Early fall, fine. Late fall and winter, it gets a little rough sometimes. And so it's nice to like have some really intentional practices in place that just allow you to like lean into the season rather than resist it and to do it. Like we're gonna do this at like a really low, like low entry price point as well, so that it's really accessible for people. Um, so yeah, it's gonna be a good time. I'm
Yeah,
very
I'm really
excited.
excited. Yes, me too. I think like when we sort of were sitting down to talk about this and like what felt true, I think it was like from a place of like not just like what we see as a need out in the world, but like our own needs. And I
Yeah.
think that that's special when it's like that because it's like coming from a place of like, let's create something for everyone,
Yes.
ourselves included. And yeah, I think it's going to be really powerful. I love like the thought of just intentionally moving through things. And the fall feels like such a potent time to kind of like, I don't know if it's like the back to school energy or what, but it just feels like such a good time to kind of like tend to seeds
Yeah.
and like plant new ones and like really intentionally move into the shedding, the reemergence, the return to ourselves. It really feels like a return.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
that's kind of what this will facilitate. And um maybe you have interest in like rituals or just like really meaningful ways to connect with yourself like through the somatic experiencing and stuff like that. This will have all of that. So
Yeah, there's gonna be some like really super simple things that you can integrate into your life, like very, very simple, but also very like potent and powerful.
mhm.
And some practices that are, a little bit more like time, like dedicating some time to it and some intentional um, practice around it. So you'll have a really nice variety to just figure out what's actually going to make the most sense in your personal life, and also involving the family too. Like I love that idea of, if you guys have kids or a partner, or if you live with other family members, like invite them to join you in all of these like practices and these rituals and rhythms and different offerings that we're going to have, just because it, like, the more integrated you make these things, like the more connected you'll all feel, and the ability to like collectively as a household settle into the season, rather than to have like the separation of like, I feel so integrated and so settled, but my family is like resisting and having a really hard time. So
Absolutely. I love that you said that. Like when you were saying that, I was thinking about like ancestrally, like the fall and the
mhm.
winter, like gathering around the hearth, gathering
Yes.
around the fire, and how that is like part of our like something we're so disconnected from because now we gather around our iPhones
Hmm.
separately in the same room. But
Oh,
it
it's so sad.
no, it's so sad because for centuries we literally sat around the fire together, sang songs, told
Yeah.
stories, connected, prayed, all of it. And so to like come back to that kind of intentional thing, and you can do that by yourself, you can do that with family, you can do that like when I envision having a family, like I envision participating in ritual together. And
Yeah.
so like it's just so powerful, and it's a way to like really honor like something that's innately inside of us even if we
Mhm.
feel disconnected from it. Like you reconnect by doing these things. So I love that, and I love that we're creating this for everyone to explore and go into.
Yeah. Very excited. So, we're gonna nice little segue. And so, like, we're talking about the fall season because when this comes out, it's gonna be like a week or two away from fall, somewhere around there. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
big transition, and opportunity for, the shedding and preparing to really turn inward. And we talk, I don't know if we talked about this a lot on the podcast, but you and I talk about this a lot, of like mirroring nature and like how much nature has to teach us. When you are looking at the seasons, there's so much going on in nature that aligns with or mirrors what we're experiencing as well, or what we're invited to experience
Yeah.
throughout each season. And so, like you mentioned about how summer is a very vibrant, very full, very energetic season, that's happening all around us. It's happening, in nature, it's happening in the communities around us. It's a very full and lively season. And then now, as we're like kind of winding down back to school,
Hmm.
and looking to really kind of like let the energy kind of settle a little bit, and then to shed the things that are
Hmm.
no longer needed, just like in nature when the leaves start shedding and things start
Absolutely.
dying off or going into like a season of dormancy. We're invited to do the same.
Absolutely. Like just as you were saying that, like I'm just envisioning, the like hustle and bustle of summer, and that like when you go outside on a sunny day, there are bugs everywhere, there are bees everywhere, the
Mm-hmm.
flowers are bloomed, everything's expressing outward, and it's like everything is kind of like in its full expression. The trees are covered in leaves, like everything is really like moving in full. And then as we like start to move into this season, we see less bugs, we see less bees, we see less, animals are starting to go inward, like everything's shifting. And I think you and I were talking a couple weeks ago, like we've kind of started to feel that in ourselves, like
Yes.
emotionally. And when you start to tune in, and this is like why I love indigenous medicine and I love to learn from ancient cultures, because they were so dialed into this and like this process and into the seasons because they had to be.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you had to prepare for winter and fall, and like it was
Yeah.
essential to your survival. And how really like I think we tend to like fall into the trap of thinking like, well, life has always been convenient in a way, or like,
Mm-hmm.
the like modern world has is kind of like what is and all that's existed. It's like this is really new when you look at like the scope of human
Very new.
existence.
Yeah.
This is so new. And it's actually like speaks to probably a lot of the modern issues we see, like,
Mm-hmm.
and the disconnect we see, because um we have all of this stuff now that we just didn't have before,
Mm-hmm.
that like does, yeah, promote convenience for sure. It's super convenient, and it does kind of disconnect us from our essence and our true
Yeah.
nature. And that's not to say that like we all need to like, you know live off grid and not have cell phones and whatever, but like recognizing like the ways that these tools that we have do disconnect us a bit, and how can we like retune in to facilitate like what feels good to us,
Mm-hmm.
in a way that promotes like longevity and like long-term health, and like seasonal depression. Like how can we actually like integrate into the season so that we're not feeling as depressed or low, because we actually do have like these
Yeah.
things that facilitate a transition or facilitate the season that feels really positive. Like,
Mm-hmm.
last year we hosted a retreat,
Mm-hmm.
or a little workshop,
Yeah.
at the beginning of winter, sort of like early December, to really help people tune into like how the body does remember this
Mm-hmm.
ancient way of being, and like remembers its place in nature. And so when we like get our mind on board with that and we do things that really facilitate that, it
Mm-hmm.
feels so good.
It
and
does. Yeah.
and it can actually be really fun. Lighting candles, having like nice
Yeah.
warm lighting, kind of drinking that warm cup of something, like
Oh, it's so cozy.
it's
Yeah.
so great.
Yeah.
And it actually makes the season like feel really good. Like we live in a really wet climate, so when it's storming and raining outside and you just like are able to sit down
Mm-hmm.
with like nice low like candlelit lighting, or like
Mm-hmm.
twinkle lights, and sit down with like a cup of tea or something hot and like watch the weather, like that is medicine.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's kind of like romanticizing your life in that season. You mentioned like being super in tune with nature and how people had to do that. And one of the things, I have a small garden uh, in our backyard, and one of the things that I've noticed is since having a garden over the last few years, I'm so much more aware of the like climate changes that are happening throughout the year, like the temperature changes and moisture, and when the rain starts coming, when I have to water the grass, when I don't have to water as much, when the air starts feeling a little different, like all of those things you just kind of start to get like really in tune with. And not just in like the spring and summer months, but even in the winter months, when I plant garlic, is like trying to kind of like feel out like, okay, is the first frost, is that coming up? And maybe people who plant like flowers and bulbs and stuff that require that as well. But like anytime that you're working like in nature or being with nature, you really start to like get clear on what's happening within the seasonal shifts that are happening. Um, And if you don't have a garden or if you don't work outside or, spend a lot of time in nature, sometimes it's a matter of just like being still and creating a space of that stillness and that silence and that pause to really start to notice like the shifts that are happening around you. And sometimes that's turning down the volume of like all the distractions that we have in our life that disconnect us, like our phones and binge watching TV and staying busy all the time and all the things that are keeping us so disconnected from like um the natural world around us. Sometimes it's turning the volume down on those things and really starting to notice like, oh, these are the shifts that naturally happen throughout all 4 seasons, throughout the full year. And how can I start to adjust my rhythms and my way of life and my way of being to align even just a little more with those, like just to make a
Mm-hmm.
small little shift in that direction, so that I'm honoring my body's natural desire to also have a season of fullness and life and vibrancy and all of that, but to also have a season of dormancy and rest and introspection.
Absolutely. And like as you were saying that, I was thinking so much about too, like the how like our culture doesn't really facilitate that, just
Yeah,
in that like we're kind of hardwired at this point to like really feel like we need to be like creating, producing, like
always. Oh my gosh.
hustle culture,
Yes.
which like I'm happily here to revolt against.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
like let's start a revolution, and
Mhm.
but it's like with rest. Um,
Yeah.
like what? We're just resting. Um,
Yeah.
but literally, because it's so important to just like overall well-being, and we're so disconnected from that. And I love that like the connection you've made, like having to tune in like through gardening, and like
Yeah.
genuinely the ancestral, like as you were saying that, I was like the desire, I
Hmm.
feel that so much. This is like um I think we all have seasons where we feel like each of us, it probably looks different for all of us, have seasons that like feel really like supportive and facilitate like our a part of us. And like I am an autumn for sure. Like
Hmm.
I feel so good in the fall.
Yeah.
And I mean, we were born in the fall. Like
Yeah.
I think that that's part of it. I know some people that are like summer people through and through.
Yeah.
And like don't get me wrong, love the sunshine, love
Hmm.
what summer gives us. But there's always a point in summer where I'm like, mm,
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Like I'm ready. I'm ready for our time to
Uh-huh.
shine.
Yeah.
Exactly. And when we like are able to really embrace and like tune in and find cultivate ways that like really feel supportive, I think we're able to just like meet so many parts of ourselves in a better, more meaningful way. And you mentioned just like the shedding the leaves, and like the shedding and the gathering of like ourselves, and how like I really do believe the world is a mirror in so many ways, and like we nature mirrors us in so many ways. And when we're able to like really embrace like what can I leave behind as I like go into hibernation,
Hmm.
and maybe it's not literal hibernation, because I totally get like you guys, I get we all have to work. I'll be
Yeah.
working through the fall and winter,
Yeah.
just like all of us. And is that uh is that like that's not what we're saying. We're not saying like, go inward all the way. We're just saying like how can you facilitate and meet and like integrate and still be a part of like your daily life, because
Right.
we totally get how the holidays also promote like hustle
Hmm.
in a way, because it's like, we have to get ready for the season. We have to buy all the gifts and we have to do all the
All the family
things.
gatherings and the events
Oh
and
gosh,
yeah.
the events of December. Like I actually, as we're saying this, I'm like, I honestly fuck December, you guys. Okay, I'm so
It
sick of
gets
it.
too full sometimes. It gets too full. Yeah.
Everybody is
Which
like,
loses like the meaning of it. You know what I
absolutely.
mean?
I'm like, if I have to go to another event in the name of it's Christmas, like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no. We need to stop that. Less is more.
Yes.
But exactly, like it's a season of shedding, and as we move into this, like not to just keep plugging our program, but like
Hmm.
part of what inspired that is like um having a space to like supportively shed and supportively like intentionally, because I think sometimes when we don't do it with intention, it's just like we kind of look up at the end of the season, we're like, oh gosh, that went by really quick. I
Mm-hmm.
moved through it. Yeah, some things changed and altered, but like, was I like really tuned into like what
Yeah.
was transitioning?
Yeah.
Or was I um just, moving through the motions? And so um having supportive like rituals or routines that help
Yeah.
facilitate that can really make a difference.
It really can. I just thinking about like the nature comparisons of like shedding. I was thinking about we have chickens as well in our backyard. And I was thinking about how every year they molt and there's so many animals in nature that like prepare their coats
I
or
did not
whatever
know
is
this at all.
yeah.
Stop.
Yeah, so they lose a lot of their feathers to prepare for winter because they get more
Like
they like
get thicker
get thicker like more
feathers.
down type feathers, which is so funny.
Yeah, I am mind blown.
So yeah, who knew this was going to be like a backyard education
Homesteading
episode?
education. I love it.
But it was kind of fun to see. One of them started molting a few weeks ago, and at that time, I kept on feeling I was like I feel like the season is like shifting, and sometimes like online people are like stop trying to rush it, and it's like no, but like really the season is like preparing to start shifting. Like there's the really subtle things. I have a big maple tree in our backyard, and it's losing leaves, and there's some
Absolutely.
beautiful red leaves on the ground. Most of the leaves are still intact and green, but like there's this process of like preparing as well. And so like as this episode releases and the weeks prior to this episode, but like really trying to prepare for and have like the mindset of like okay, so we're preparing to enter a shift
Yeah.
externally and the invitation to shift internally.
Yeah, it's a progression, right? Like,
Yeah.
even a couple weeks ago, as you were saying that, I was recalling like when I went up to the mountains
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning of August,
Yeah.
I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, it's crazy to me that some of the leaves are already red because it's early August.
Yeah.
And obviously Mother Nature has a clock that's like so outside of our comprehension, and like it's
Mm-hmm.
intuitively making these shifts based on whatever it needs to. Um, and I think that like there's a big distinction between that and walking into a department store and being
Yep.
like, it's only a matter of time before we're seeing Christmas decorations, folks. And I just
If
want
not already.
to, yeah, no, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
uh, and capitalism will, consumerism, let me not get too political here,
Mm-hmm.
will encourage the shift way sooner than it needs to.
Yeah.
But like, there is the reality, like you mentioned, of like, the trees are changing, like
Yeah.
animals are doing things that they do to like get ready for winter.
Yeah.
And so that that's like way outside of like human, and there's no rush in that. It's just honoring and acknowledging and a
Yeah.
preparation, like you mentioned. And so like how can we prepare? um
Mm-hmm.
how can we prepare for this season? And I think that like, I don't know, we can share like some of our favorite ways to prepare, I think, because like something I've really visually been working on right
Mm-hmm.
now and like integrating in my life, because I feel like this summer for me it was a weird spring and summer just because so much change, like so much happened.
Mm-hmm.
And the winter and fall of last year were really intentional. Like I
Yeah.
felt like the programs we did, the
Mm-hmm.
workshops we hosted, things like that were very like intentionally like had me present. And then
Mm-hmm.
like spring hit and all these things happened, and
Mm-hmm.
I like was traveling in the winter, and then I like came home, and then
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff like sort of bloomed. And then I like was really like kind of all over the place in June and parts of July, May, June, July, like out
Mm-hmm.
there. And then at the end of July, like beginning of August, I kind of like had this like everything kind of stopped, and I was like, okay, let's assess.
Mm-hmm.
And so like now I'm moving into this place where I really want to be intentional again, and I'm feeling like, okay, maybe that happened a little like it moved quicker or like with less presence than I would have liked it to. But that's like literally what this season is for. You know,
Yeah.
it's to reflect on that, to see what worked, what didn't work, what I'm ready to let go of, what we're ready to invite in or cultivate, because we have to do these things with intention. If we don't, you know, it's just not like intention doesn't happen to us, we create it.
Yeah.
And so, something that's been feeling really like good to me is just the intentional presence of like sitting with myself, the journaling, the reflection, and the clarifying,
Mm-hmm.
like what do I want this next few months to look like, and
Mm-hmm.
how can I make sure that that happens, um instead of, you know, just kind of like continuing on autopilot, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. It does. Yeah, a visual that's been coming to mind for me lately, just over the last couple of months, but it feels so relevant to the seasonal shift, is like sometimes throughout the day, if I, generally it's if I drink too much coffee or like, just
Yeah.
caffeine intake. Um, but if I feel like really buzzy, like a lot of energy, a lot of like lively movement inside of my body, being able to like lay down on the ground, and the visualization that comes to mind is like a snow globe that's been like shaken up, which is me during the day. And then like having a chance to actually like watch the glitter settle. And that's
Yes.
kind of what the summer to fall season feels like to me, is like you have all that like very lively, vibrant, shiny, glittery energy in the summer that like feels so good. And then there's a time that comes, which we're approaching, for it to start settling, like to start slowing down and to like be still and to actually allow all of that to like come back to you, to kind of like rein it back in. And so something that I have that feels really good for me is, as the light starts to shift in the season, like the sun is setting earlier. I think at this point it's like starting to set maybe even before 8 p.m.
It's like 8:15ish. Last night at
Yeah,
8:45 it was like dark
dark.
and I was like,
Yeah.
"Girl, come back."
Yeah.
Girl.
Yeah. So really like trying to lean into that. My routine, like my nighttime routine, will start earlier. Like I'll start showering earlier, winding down earlier, and just like being okay with that. Lighting a
Mhm.
candle, like making a warm drink, like all the things that make it feel really cozy for me. And then engaging in movements that feel really like grounding for me. So
Um,
I haven't been doing like much yoga lately. I just haven't been like feeling called to actually do like yoga flows, but I've been referring to them as kind of like somatic flows, or like embodiment flows, of like kind of going through different movements and postures that just like intuitively feel really good and grounding for my body, and using that as a time, not with music, not with a podcast going, not with TV in the background, not watching something on my phone, but like actually being with my body and like tuning in to what's happening, and
mm,
the like slowness that my body is craving.
yeah,
And that's just been feeling so good to me lately.
I love that. Like
Yeah.
as you were saying that, I have been feeling this and I just haven't like made it happen or like sought it out. But I've been like feeling the deep need for like ceremony recently.
Mm-hmm.
And like doing like being and just
Yeah.
existing. And sometimes it's really hard in our lives to just like
Very hard.
unplug, exist. But yeah, I last night I'm still kind of the like tourist, like the summer season hasn't wrapped up here, and
Mm-hmm.
I help out at some of my family's businesses, and so I've been working at the one of their restaurants
Mm-hmm.
a couple nights a week, and like I, you know, get off work at like 8:30,
Mm-hmm.
9 sometimes, it just depends. And last night when I got home, I didn't end up getting home until like 9 something, 9:15.
Yeah.
And I so it was like later than I would have wanted to be home for
Yeah.
sure. But I lit my candles and I like, after I like, you know, got all cozied and showered and all that, I lit my candles and I like went and I sat on the floor and I
Mm-hmm.
just like held my mesa. And the way that I had to just put my phone on the other side of the room because
Yeah.
the it's like the pattern. You have to catch yourself sometimes,
Yeah.
and just acknowledging that like it's like remembering to come back to, like in yoga they say come back to the mat.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
sometimes you have to like be like catch yourself, be like, oh, I picked up my phone, it was unconscious, I'm scrolling, put it down,
Yep.
come back to the mat, like come back to that place.
Yeah.
And how good that feels. But yeah, like as you were just describing that, like that presence and the sitting down with the warm drink and the like shifting your routine, I just was like really feeling the desire I have to like
Hmm.
sit in circle and like drink cacao or
Hmm.
light the candles and create the environment and like
Hmm.
be present. And I'm like feeling inspired by that. So
Yeah,
thank
it
you.
feels so good. So, so good. And yes, the like phone distraction, all the distractions are definitely so available and present and challenge. Like I'll find myself like I'll turn my phone off sometimes or like put it in a different room because it's so easy to be like, oh, I forgot to do this thing or I need to check this or what's the status of this? And like it's just it's always there, it's always available. And then the other piece that we were talking about before we started recording this episode was like the if there's any content creators that listen to our podcast, you'll get it of like
Uh,
the quote of like everything's content. And so there's like this pressure to be like, oh, but this is like a nice ceremony that I'm doing, or like, oh, this is a nice flow, and like my my outfit's cute right now. Like, should I get my phone out and record? Like,
yeah,
and the answer is no. Like, there are so many things in life that are meant for just you
for
and to like
us.
have that space where it's not a matter of anyone else needing to be invited that into that with you. It's not to post on social media. Like there are so many things in our life that are just meant to just be for us or like the people
Mm-hmm.
who are physically there with us. And so and maybe like that's applicable to people who don't do like content creation for a living too, but like the desire to like kind of like Pixar it didn't happen like that framework, you know what
Yes.
I mean, of like you
Yes.
always need to be posting to your stories or your feed
100%.
or whatever it is. So yeah, that's been nice for me too, and not just with like different flows that I'll do or different things that feel good, but also like going for walks or like all the
Mm-hmm.
things that it's like you don't need to bring your phone, like
No,
leave it at
absolutely.
home.
As you were saying that, I was thinking about like, because lately I feel like I've been really on my phone, but not online because I stopped. I mean, maybe some of our listeners have noticed, you guys, I've just like dipped out of the internet recently. It happens. I go through these phases and I have to do it. And it's one of those things I'm learning to like not judge myself and
Mhm.
like be like, oh no, but you're going to like lose all these opportunities or like you have to do this. It's
Yeah.
like, no, I get to engage with the internet. The internet doesn't engage with me. I decide when I'm online, and
Yeah.
that is like I am getting my sovereignty back in that space because the pressure I think sometimes to like be online, especially as content creators, is
Yeah.
so real. And so that is like something I've really been I haven't really been posting recently just because too, like this is like a little side thought, is we're not always supposed to have something to say, right? Like
Yeah.
if I'm not inspired, I'm not going to force things. And right now I feel like there's just been a lot of like personal integration. So when it reemerges, and it will, I know it will,
Yeah.
then I'll come back to that space. But I've been on my phone a lot, and I have been really feeling like annoyed with myself about that because it's like, oh, what are you doing? Like scrolling or getting on
Hmm.
this or like always being on it. And, um, you know, one like you were mentioning, because we did talk about it before we started recording this, the things that are for ourselves and like having that like those personal like almost like holy moments of like this is
Yeah.
for me, and this thing that like whether it's a spiritual practice or like working with anything, just breathing. Like I
Yeah.
didn't start doing this for the content I create. I started doing it because it felt nourishing and it felt really supportive, and it's like really like something that is sacred to me. And so like
Hmm.
keeping it sacred,
Yeah.
one, and then two, like the other thought I was having is kind of like I was just kind of like, why do I feel the need to just be on my phone?
Yeah.
And this is something that came up, and I don't know, people might resonate with this, but I live alone. And so like when I'm home alone and I don't know what to do with myself,
Yeah.
or I'm like in the space of like, oh, I don't maybe feel called to like sit down and do the journaling or like do the breath work or whatever.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, so I'm going to like go be in the world. And like it feels like, oh, I'm going to connect
Yeah.
with people, or like I'm going to have, I'm going to text somebody, or I need to have this on me because like what if someone reaches out, or
Yeah.
like what if anything. And it's like, okay, the text message will be there.
It will.
And that's
Everything will
okay.
be okay.
It'll all be okay. And if it's not okay, like if someone is going to be like angry with you for like not getting back to them immediately, uh no, that's a boundary.
Yeah.
And um yeah, just the curiosity around like what am I looking for on my phone and can I give it to myself?
Yeah.
And so yeah, like really intentionally unplugging and like having that in a separate space, because um at the end of the day, it is technology and it's never going to help us tune into our nature more.
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
you know,
I feel that too. Like during the days, like Adam will go to work for the day, and there are certain days where I have a lot more going on, whether it be doing like podcast recording, client sessions, like specific content creation things, projects I'm working on. Some days or weeks will be like very full, and others will be like, okay, I'm in kind of like this in between space of like, I don't have like my plate is not as full each day. And so I generally will like write out a to do list each day to help kind of keep me on track with what I have to do or what to prioritize or how I can like fill my time in a, I'm going to use the word productively, but and included in that is like some of these restful things of like very intentionally, I guess is a better word. Because if I don't do that, I find myself just kind of like feeling scattered and reaching for my phone more often because it's kind of a way of like checking out from the discomfort of like, okay, I'm here by myself and I don't have much going on and I'm lacking connection and it's just like a way of checking out. And so for our listeners, if you also maybe find yourself in that season or like as we approach this fall season, and moving into winter as well, of reaching for your phone or turning on the TV more often or all these like distractions that pull us away from actually like sitting with the potential discomfort that you're having because the weather's changing, the times are changing, the daylight hours are changing, your connection to people around you is changing, like all the changes that are happening, it can feel like really uncomfortable. And so I guess just like inviting some curiosity into some of the patterns that we have that pull us away from experiencing the fullness.
absolutely. I love that. Definitely. And, you know, remembering, like I mentioned earlier, the coming back to the mat, like
Mm-hmm.
just having the like awareness of catching yourself, because
Yeah.
it is a practice, right? Like just
Yeah.
like the pattern of getting on your phone like unconsciously has formed, like we have to
Mm-hmm.
create the pattern of consciously like doing something else. And so just being gentle with yourself in that transition and recognizing that like, hey, some days we're going to be like really on it and some days we're going to like fall back in, but how can we like move through it with like real intention and curiosity, and cultivate that like presence in that space that we really want.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that. I think um one of my favorite ways like that I embrace fall, and I think all of us can relate to this to a degree, is kind of like I love to like seasonally like decorate or like shift
Mm-hmm.
my environment.
Yeah.
And so I actually yesterday was like putting some stuff away and I like pulled out some more of my like my mom said this the other day. It was so funny. We were looking at my tattoos and she looked at one and she goes, "That one's kind of weird." And I was like, "Why is it weird?" And she was like, "It's just like really pagan." And I was like, "Have you been present for the last like, I don't know, 8 years of my life? What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And
That's
she was
funny.
like, "Oh, I know. That's like your thing." And like I hate that word because like it does not mean like what we think it means, but it's a
It
great
comes with certain like connotations.
for sure, for sure.
Sure.
But like when we like really tune into like what paganism or like ancient like cultures did, it like is rooted in paganism. And I was just like, what? So the reason I said that is because I was like pulling out like some of my bones and some of my like
Mhm.
more like, you know, spookier or like,
Mhm.
but really they're just ritual items, you guys.
Mhm.
I was like pulling out my I like moved my mesa and like built an altar. I love altars. They're always going to be
Mm.
like one of my favorite things. And so
Mhm.
I'm like getting my fall altar up
Yeah.
and just kind of preparing my space in that way. And I put all my candles out. Like I don't have
Mhm.
them out in the summer because like a lot of them out. I do have a couple, but like my more like my candlesticks, my like black ones or like my
Yeah.
and all of those things I tend to put away during the summer because I'm not like in the house
Yeah.
as much. And so
Mhm.
um like all of that nesting has kind of been happening and I was like, ooh, yay, like I'm ready and
Mhm.
getting my like kettle out and getting ready to
Mhm.
brew things and do simmer pots and all of that and how it
Mhm.
just feels so like it creates like an environment that like really facilitates a
Mhm.
space that I want to be present in versus like
Yeah.
um you know I think we can get caught in the hustle or like if we're working a lot or whatever it's like the house can get messy or things aren't as feel as cozy and warm and so like how we can really facilitate like a place we want to like sit in and be in.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's such a good way of like leaning into the season and fully embracing it rather than resisting it. Like,
Yeah.
and if that's creating that really nice physical space, if it's creating different rhythms within your day, like however that looks for you, like assessing your life of how can I approach this fall season in a way
Mhm.
that is like fully leaning into it and embracing all aspects of it, even the ones that maybe you don't love the most, but like trying to embrace it and figuring out like how can I make this work because this is the reality, this is the season that we're in.
Mhm.
Because when we resist it, it's like so there's so much friction that happens, and like when you're still trying to live that summer life, but it's like
Like
clearly
yeah.
fall and winter, like it's just not going to work.
There's this phrase resistance times pain equals suffering.
Mm,
So when we're experiencing something and we resist it or like we're having resistance around like a shift that's happening or something painful or grief or just a transition or
mhm.
something uncomfortable it and like suffering and is a dramatic word sometimes because it's like okay I'm not suffering I'm not like starving or like in agony but
Yeah.
it it might look like I have less energy I'm less motivated I'm like seasonally depressed or whatever like that is what I mean when I say that in context to this, but it's like the resistance times the experience equals discomfort essentially.
Yeah.
That's like a less dramatic way of wording it. Um, but it is that. It's exactly what you just explained. Like we have to kind of like find ways to like lean in and facilitate it better and
Yeah.
where we live like the rain some people really really struggle with the rain
Hmm.
and so something I've been really thinking about I said this to my dad recently which is like hilarious because if you know him personally you're like what last night this is like a whole thing I won't even mention it but last night he made me watch an episode of Seinfeld and he was like this is you and because I stopped by their house for a minute after work and long story short, they went to a holistic healer because one of them didn't want to like need to go to a Western doctor. And he's like, this episode reminds me of you.
That's so funny.
And it was like really funny. And like honestly, I was like, this is why we have a bad rep in the
Yeah.
world. Thank you. Okay. He was like, isn't that funny though? But it was funny, but I said to him because he like really struggles with the season and he hates the rain and he hates the winter here and I was like what would it be like for you to just like fully embrace it and not resist it and like meet
Hmm.
it in its fullness
Yeah.
and like whether that be like okay so it's pouring down rain and that like depresses me how can I better this like how
Yeah.
can I make this feel better um And that's my invitation to anyone listening who feels that like resistance or that like struggle
Yeah.
to how can you better it? Is that bundling up and going for a walk in the rain? Is that
Mm-hmm.
like lighting your candles and creating an environment inside that feels cozy but still like having a window like open so you can hear it, like
Yeah.
finding the magic and the medicine in it versus like the just like I hate this fucking sucks, I don't want it, I don't want this. Cuz
Yeah.
like again, not to we could literally make a compilation of all my analogies and it would just be crazy because I am full of them. But when we argue with reality, we suffer. So it's
Yeah.
like that same concept of like, it's raining. How can I embrace this? As opposed to
Yeah.
like, it's raining.
Yeah,
I hate
and trying to,
everything.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Like this is the reality. How do we lean into it? I bought a jacket that is probably like 10 pounds. It's ridiculous. It's literally like a parka.
That is amazing, actually. And I love that for
I bought it
you.
a couple years ago, and it was I said it was like an investment in my mental health because in the winter season, like that was me. Like I was struggling so hard. I would feel like so depressed and just like apathetic, kind of numb. And having just such a hard time like actually leaning into the season and just like couldn't wait for it to be over. And so I bought this jacket and because I was like, I want to go, I love going for walks. Like, I love being outside, going for like casual walks, going for a hike. Like, I want to be able to do that. And it gets cold, it gets wet. And so I did that. And it was so helpful for me because it was like, it got rid of the excuse of like, oh, I can't do this thing that really like fills my cup because it's raining or because it's dark outside or like what it's cold today and windy. Like it I guess just kind of like pulls back some of those barriers and some of those excuses that you might come up with. So I think just
Yes.
getting creative and it's sometimes it's like so simple, so simple. Like buy the jacket, buy the rain boots, buy like do the thing that you need to do that is like so simple to solve whatever the problem is that you're having with, in this case, the season.
Absolutely. Yes. Uh, going to like, because I've spent time, like actual rooted time in other countries, that's like one of
Mm-hmm.
the things that I have learned from my Welsh roots so well is that like, yeah, like to sound super British for a second. Oh my gosh, don't let them hear me say that. The Welsh do not want to be
They
categorized with,
want to be their own.
they're their own thing. I
Yeah.
didn't say that. I'm so sorry. But they'll be like, yeah, it might be pissing rain outside
Mm-hmm.
because that's what they like refer to it as, or like blowing sideways. They're like, they walk
Yeah.
everywhere. They literally walk everywhere. And so when I was in Wales in January last year, which is like the wettest time to be there.
Yeah.
Quite
There
literally
was
the
like some sort of a storm,
yeah, like
right? It's like,
crazy. It was like it was literally like the worst storm in like 10 years there. And honestly, I did get a little scared at one point because even though it's so comparable to the Pacific Northwest, it's a little farther north. And also, like,
mm,
Wales is pretty rural in a lot of ways. Ireland got hit real hard, and we're just like right across the bay from Ireland.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, no, there was one, and I was in like this little tiny, like, freaking cottage that was built like
Yeah.
200 years ago, and I'm just like, okay, yeah. So that was like a
Yeah.
journey in itself. But every day it was like, okay, I'm gonna put my rain boots on and I'm gonna like wear my jacket, my scarf, and I'm gonna bundle up and I'm gonna go out and like
Yeah.
walk to wherever I'm going because that's what you do here. And
Yeah.
um like again, it's that convenience thing. Like America is very much like spread out. We don't have walkable cities in the same way, like in most
Hmm.
cases, unless you're living in like a huge metropolitan area.
Yeah.
And so like when you go to other places that are like way more like less vehicle transportation and more like public transportation driven or literally walking,
Hmm.
um you have to embrace that. And so
Yeah.
learning that and like surrendering to that, like there's so much we can learn from other places and people and how to embrace it. And that just when you were explaining like that change that you made, that small change, and like
Yeah.
that decision ultimately to like I'm gonna do this because it feels good and I need to like have this in my life to like feel good.
Hmm.
um it just helps create ease. And I love a little fall walk. We could go on walks
Mm-hmm.
in the fall together. I love
Yes, we
that.
should.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I know we should.
Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. I love that.
we will. That'll be fun.
It
Even
will.
the rainy walks.
Oh my gosh, throwback, you guys. Kayla and I, when the raindrops were good, you know what I'm about to say. Maybe you do,
I
maybe you
don't
don't.
know.
Remember when we were like teenagers and the raindrops were good, we'd go outside and dance in it.
Yeah, okay, yes.
100, we'd be like mid class. So sorry, we've got to step outside for a second. And we would do that. Honestly, it's a miracle to me we never got in trouble.
I know.
One day we did have a teacher who said to me, and maybe he said it to us, but I think he might have just said it to me. He goes, "You think you're exempt to the rules?" Because I was like, "I'll be back in a minute. I'm going to leave
You're
this
like,
room."
yeah, but I kind of like
And
am. So
yeah, I was
I
like,
don't.
"Actually, what are you talking about? I'm leaving. Are you mad?"
Yeah.
It was one of our favorite teachers. And he just was like, "Ugh," he was so annoyed. And I was like,
Yeah.
what? And I still left. So, but yeah, we would do that. We would
So
go.
fun. It's like that childlike spirit though, you know what I mean? Like how can you tap into that and like really embrace like go dance in the rain?
God, it was so fun. I have so many amazing memories of us just like doing silly stuff like that. Though, like one in particular that really stands out. Oh, we had a little camera shift there if you're watching by our lovely assistant, Burke. He's napping by the tripod. But was like we were decorating for graduation or something. Like I think it was like our junior year. And
Uh-huh.
you like came in and you were like, these raindrops are peak. They're beautiful. And the way that we just like abandoned all and we're like, yeah, we don't need to,
Oh my
you guys got
gosh.
this. And we danced in the parking lot of the like high school.
I
And
love that so much.
so it was so magical. And we were like properly soaked.
Yeah. Of course. That's like the best.
Yeah.
It's the best experience. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so tune into that
Part of
part of
you.
you.
Sometimes you just need to like go be in the rain.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's okay. Who you don't need to worry about clothes will dry,
Yeah.
your hair will dry, like all of it, like sometimes it's fun to just like throw caution to the wind and like do that thing.
Jump in the puddle.
Jump in the puddle.
And let your kids jump in the puddle.
Yes. The way
Like,
that like my nephew still like has that in him of like, oh, like puddles
yeah.
are for jumping. And
Oh, it's so fun.
we have so much to learn from kids.
Yeah, I find myself doing that sometimes where I'm just like, this looks like a nice, I'm gonna step in this puddle. Like
That
when
is
you can just
so
like
great.
walk around it, you know what I mean? But like, yeah, it's the little things that are like seemingly so unimportant. Do more of those.
Yeah, exactly. Embrace it.
Amazing. Well, again, September 22nd.
Yes, join our program.
A beautiful opportunity for more of this.
Yeah,
So.
Absolutely. And we have some different, if you want to pay in full for the full 3 months, there's a little bit of a price break if that makes more sense for you, or you can do the monthly subscription. And again, we made this like super affordable because we want everybody to be able to like access it if it's something they feel called to. So join us for that. And we hope you're embracing the seasonal change with open arms.
Yes. Okay. We will see you guys next week.